Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be called "Is it worth training a Harris's hawk for non-falconry purposes?" Let's go and find out. Is it worth it? Is it a good idea? And if so, what can you do to fly and entertain your Harris hawk if you're not flying it for hunting proper falconry? So, an awful lot of people buy a Harris's hawk for no other reason than it's cheap, and that is the bare facts of it. It's a cheap hawk that anyone can buy, certainly in the UK. They cost so little now, a couple of £100, and a lot of people buy them as really kind of like an exotic pet. Now, people keep parrots and finches and all kinds of birds people keep. So how can you say that you can't treat birds of prey the same way? Really? If you don't think birds of prey should be kept in a certain way, maybe other birds shouldn't be kept in a certain way. For me and most falconers, birds of prey are about falconry, or certainly flying them free and working with them. And if you're looking for a falconry bird, you're looking for a bird that's got a high prey drive for the prey that you have available. So for instance, if you want to fly a hawk at partridge, you'd probably pick a male goshawk. If you want to fly a hawk at brown hares, you'd probably pick a golden eagle. If you want to fly on the open moors at grouse, you'd probably iconically love to fly a peregrine falcon, and so on and so forth. But unfortunately, a lot of people buy Harris hawks because they want a Harris hawk and they want a bird of prey with no thought at all about proper falconry or what they're actually going to do with that bird. Now, if you don't want to go hunting with a falconry bird or a raptor, there are better birds to have as a companion and fly free for your enjoyment. So for instance, in the olden days, we'd have flown a common buzzard. You can still get them just as easily now. Well, you can still get them captive bred. Not as easily now, because most breeders switched to breeding Harris's hawks, because a long time ago these were worth more. Now, a common buzzard, being incredibly intelligent and designed to eke the best life from the minimum sort of expenditure of calories, was a great animal to fly, because it would follow you through the countryside from tree to tree. It would come to the glove whenever you called it, and essentially you could take it for a walk. It would fly around in the wind, it would follow you around, and you'd learn lots of falconry skills. You'd learn how to train a bird of prey without any need to go hunting at all. In fact, a common buzzard used to really see the falconer as the food and wouldn't bother chasing anything. It was much too easy to rely on a handout, for sure. So a great bird to have as a non-falconry trained bird of prey. If you're going to keep a Harris hawk and you're not going to hunt with that bird regularly, you're going to potentially create yourself a lot of problems, because this is a species with a high prey drive, and species with high prey drives, they want to go hunting whether you want them to or not. So straight away you fly your Harris hawk free and you just want it to follow on, soar in the wind and be obedient to the glove, but you don't want to go hunting. Well, that's too bad, because it doesn't matter if it's 6 weeks or 6 years, sooner or later, while you're out flying your Harris hawk free, it's going to go hunting, because that's what it does. It doesn't have feet this huge to be a lightweight scavenger. So whether you like it or not, your Harris hawk will catch stuff. It'll catch frogs in the grass, it'll catch field voles in the meadows, it'll catch pheasants, it's mugged in nettle patches, it'll catch rabbits that it's mugged if needs be. It might not put on a great show for catching them, but for sure, when the opportunity is easy, your Harris hawk's going to catch and kill stuff. And if that's not what you are aimed for, you've still got to learn all those falconry skills, or you're going to end up falling out with your Harris hawk if you don't know how to trade it off and feed it properly on one of its kills. If you're going to go down this road, you might be a professional falconer like myself, in so much as you work and you earn a living through falconry. So this guy here, don't forget, he's 10, 11 years old. He spent a long time as a pest control bird. So he would fly at seagulls on warehouse roofs, not to catch them, to scare them off and hopefully prevent them from breeding on that particular roof. He would fly in warehouses and scare away pigeons, scare them out of racking so they didn't breed and poo on all the stock in his warehouses. So for him, great alternative to being a falconry bird, because he was hunting every day of the week, he was flying fit, and more importantly than anything with this species, his mind was being used all the time. And the biggest downfall of keeping a Harris hawk, if you're not going to be a falconer, isn't the fact it will go and kill stuff and you'll have to deal with that one way or the other. The biggest downside is this is one of the most intelligent species of birds of prey. It gets bored. You know that another intelligent bird or group of birds are parrots. And you know for sure, I'm sure everyone knows this, that parrots self-harm when they're bored. They just start self-harming because they're bored. And a big topic about that is they'll start plucking their feathers. And often they'll pluck every feather on their body except their head feathers, because their beak can't pluck the feathers off their head. Harris hawks do the same thing. It's not all about boredom. There can be other triggers to a bird to feather pluck. But for sure, Harris hawks will get bored if they're not stimulated. They can start plucking their feathers, and once that habit forms, it's almost impossible to break. It's really difficult to break. And they'll often get noisy. Just shout at you all day long. Just shout, "Are you there? Dave, Dave," or whoever you are. Screaming constantly and incessantly. That's irritating, and if you've got neighbours, it's more than irritating. Because they're bored, they're just shouting, they're calling you, they're calling a mate, they're calling a friend, they're calling you. Let's come out, come on, I want to do something, I want some food, I want to do something. If you're going to have a Harris hawk and not do much with it, and maybe play with it seriously at weekends, because that's what people tend to do, they dabblers do, you're going to have a bird that's bored stiff. This guy here, we looked at brain power when I got him. Now he's nearly 11 years old. His first year he was hunted an awful lot because I wanted to build that bond with him, and with a social hunter, using this guy with or as a falconry bird is the best way bar nothing to create a tight bond with your hawk, as long as you're productive. And I mean you, not the bird. It's a social hunter. If you're productive and you can produce it flights, it'll see you as an ally and a great companion. If you're not, it'll wander off and start looking for food on its own. Hunting creates a great bond with these. So I created that bond, but then his job was school education, pest control that we've already talked on, and we also looked at how brainy he was. We did him tests. Now, other birds of prey that are brainy are caracaras, and people often teach them tricks, not as a circus act, to test their brain power. If you teach them tricks and things, you can find out how they think. And this guy, one thing he learnt quickly was that if he kicked over black flower pots, there'd be food underneath. But I never put food under brown flower pots. And he kicked them over once and left them. Wasn't worth the effort. There's nothing, no reward, and he left them alone ever since. He hasn't done this, I would say, for 9 years. He's not seen a flower pot for probably 9 years. We're intrigued to see if not only is he intelligent enough, but if his memory has gone back that far and he recognises them as a food source. So for sure, if you're going to keep a Harris's hawk for non-falconry purposes, you've got to fly that bird regularly, stimulate it physically to keep it fit, but stimulate its mind. Or do not get a Harris hawk. It will get bored, and you'll get bored of it. As gorgeous as they are, this species is suited to the falconer or the pest controller, the people that are going to work with them every single day and have them chasing stuff, even if they're not catching. Let's see what he does. Ooh, we've got an audience. We're going to put the camera down, we're going to set things up, and we're going to see if a simple mind game is still lodged in his memory. So ideally, I would have had him hooded while we set this up. I can see him looking at them. Now I haven't got him hooded because I've left his hood about 150 yards away. Let's see what he does. So he's got to kick them. He already has to kick them over. Oh, he's got that bit out. He's just poked a bit out. Let's see what he does with the other ones. Let's see. So like this. Nige. Oh, so there's a bit of memory lacking there, because he learnt quick that the red one's well done. He's remembered to kick them over. Go on, Nigel. Kick it. Kick it, Nige. Oh, he's cheated, but he's got it. Let's see how he goes on now. He's kicked one red one over, one brown one over. Let's see what he does. Normally he kicks them, he learnt to kick them over, so he could tell for sure if there's anything there. Good boy. I'd like to see him kick him over again, like the old days, because he's kind of cheating. Oh, okay, fair enough, fair enough. What have we got going on over here? You can see his little bird brain working. He's obviously getting a food reward, and he's a bird of prey. He's not going to do much work for much else other than a food reward. He's certainly not going to do it for a pat on the head. There's nothing goes under those brown ones, Nige. I think you've got to kick that one over. Kick it, Nige. Let's see. because unless he kicks them over, he can't be sure if there's food under there or not. So you could spend a whole day pushing them around to see if there's more food to be found. Which one's next? Good boy. Now we've had him pulling ropes out of tubes with his feet and his beak to get at food. We've had him running through tunnels. Good boy. Running through tunnels to get food. Kick it, Nige. But there's people that have worked with these birds that have tested their brains far, far more than I have. And for sure, if you're going to keep an intelligent species of any bird, you can't leave it sitting around. Well done, Nigel. You can't leave it sitting around all day. If you're not going to fly it for falconry, its purpose in the life, which is hunting really, you've got to keep that brain active with any intelligent species. And Harris hawks, for sure, let's reload one. So one thing he hasn't learnt, Nige, I think he hasn't quite remembered that the red ones or the brown ones, sorry I'm colourblind, aren't productive. So you have to believe me on that. That the red ones, he only, oh that's cheating. He only goes for once. Or he had previously only actually turned over once and realised they were a waste of effort. If you're going to fly your Harris hawk and you're not going to use it for falconry and you're going to have it free outdoors, you must still use telemetry every single time. Anything could spook this bird and we could lose him or misplace him without telemetry. So intriguingly, after 9 years, he's remembered exactly that there's food to live under flower pots, but he hasn't remembered that the brown ones are always empty and a waste of effort. Not bad, a 9-year memory on a bird that belongs to a group of birds that aren't really top of the tree for intelligence, not like the corvids and the parrot family. So again, he can only know if there's nothing under there if he knocks it over. There could be more under there for all he knows. But I'm pretty sure if we only ever put one food item under there, in a short space of time, he wouldn't pester them further if he's had one food item out. That's what he normally does. He clenches his feet and kicks them over. That's what he used to do. However, this bird's going to live for 25 or 30 years. If you're not going to use or employ a Harris hawk as a falconry bird, are you going to put enough time in every single day to exercise its body and mind in one way or the other? Whether you're just taking it for a walk around the countryside and flying it free. Because if that's what you're going to do and you want to fly a falconry bird for non-falconry purposes and you're not using it for professional purposes such as pest control or flying for displays and education, I think you could choose a far better species than the Harris's hawk. Personally, something like a Lanner falcon that you can improve your skills through lure swinging and your technique and watch the bird grow in its ability year on year, when it'll probably never chase anything because it'll be so wedded to the lure. It's a beautiful species, easy going and very enjoyable, very enjoyable to work with. There's much better birds than Harris's hawks to train and fly for non-falconry. Certainly something like a common buzzard if you want something of the short wing or rather the broad wing variety, and an easygoing falcon species with a very limited prey drive such as a Lanner falcon. This video isn't for the dabblers, because you dabblers are going to do whatever you want, whenever you want, with no thought at all for the animal in question. But for those serious committed people that desperately want to work with and train birds of prey, there are actually better species than the Harris's hawk, unless you're going to put an awful lot of your time in to keep this guy's brain active. we're going to pack up our pots. Nige. But I hope you could see, just from his attitude, his little bird brain was thinking and the cogs were turning. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Check out our vlogs too. See you soon. Come on, Nige.